Peace, peace,
There we
peace,
go.
peace, peace to the planet Earth. This is D100 TV. We are live. Trying to get Freddie off mute. I don't know if he's got himself on mute. Yes, he does. It's all good. This is Thursday, 6 p.m. We went straight into it, man. I wanted to not do an intro. I wanted to get straight into it because two topics today hit very close to home for me. I've actually been waiting for Thursday at 6 p.m. I've been waiting to speak on these things. If you were here last Thursday, you seen us. We touched on the tragedy of Takeoff, RIP, the Takeoff, condolences to his family. But also we touched on the fact that it happens every day. You know what I'm saying? It happens all across America, all across the globe. Mothers are crying right now. Their stories aren't heard of in the news. And we're going to get into a story that isn't really being talked about in the news today. So yeah, we got into a few other things. It was dope. We're back at it again. If you don't know, I want to go ahead and give my co-host the opportunity to introduce himself, man. Old man from born in 1943.
Must be somebody else in the room, brother, because there's no old man here. Oh. It must be somebody behind me, man.
Let's see somebody. Who is he?
Peace, everybody. Freddie Williams, Nehemiah Empowerment Project, Radical Solutions. As always, blessed and honored to be here with my man Life, my man KT. Just met him last week, but my dude. And hey, looking forward, man, to building on some serious topics.
Most definitely, most definitely. What up, KC? How you feeling today, man? Let him know who he is, man.
Man, I'm doing good, man. Appreciate it, brother Freddie. You know what I'm saying? Definitely an OG, definitely wise, definitely with wisdom and knowledge. It's your boy KT coming straight out of Southside Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Podcast host, management, clothing ambassador, entrepreneur. I wear many hats, and as my boy Life would say, KT the connector. You know what I'm saying? I'm loving that title right there. So if y'all missed last week's episode, make sure y'all click on the page, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Tap in with the last week episode, and also tap in with my girl Real and Explicit with their episode from last night. Definitely dope. Y'all did a phenomenal job last night. I watched the whole thing. It was excellent.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Real and Explicit. She was up here last night. Dope personality, dope soul from the DMV area. An example of somebody that was brave enough to do it. You know, she came down here to Atlanta. You know, she talked about some of the ups and downs, but she's still going. Shout out to I Am Chelsea Speaks, owner of TKO 101 Radio. She came to the school yesterday, spoke to the students, man. Powerful message. Hey,
and not only that, she dope. She's definitely dope. So y'all make sure y'all catch me and her on the 23rd at 11 a.m. on TKO Radio 101 TKO Radio. I Am Chelsea Speaks.
Yeah, and hey, shout out my wife, man. My better half.
No
That's
doubt,
how
no doubt.
Shout out.
The patient one. She got an interview with I Am Chelsea Speaks on TKO 101 Radio to speak about our school, Lasting Layers of Beauty Institute. So I'm excited about that. She is as well. That's what happens when you network.
Mm-hmm.
I met all these names that I just mentioned, including KT. I don't even know, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yep, about two Thursdays ago.
Yeah, but it seems like it feels longer than that.
They say if you're not networking, you're not working.
Period.
If you're not networking, you're not working, man.
Yeah.
If you
in the same is your net worth.
That'll preach right there.
Don't get it started.
But you know what? The thing is, people need to understand that. Like, get out of the same room, man. Walk into the same room.
You know everybody in the room. Everybody in the room knows you. Expand your horizons. Touch some different bases. Like you say, move in different circles.
And then not only that, once you network, you got to tap back in. Don't just meet somebody and follow them and don't tap back in.
Right.
How you going to continue that movement and continue working with somebody if you expecting them to just say, oh, well, I followed you today. Apparently, you're going to hit me up. No, you got to reach out. You got to put that arm out there and take a chance. You know, just like really explicit was saying last night. Sometimes you might not get it on the first try. That don't mean you quit. That don't mean you give up. You do it again until it comes back in full circle. Now look at all of us. It came back in full circle.
Oh, we about to do something crazy down here in Atlanta. I feel it because it's too many dope souls. It's too many people moving the same direction, and everybody is weird because everybody's in a different lane, and everybody's rock. It's weird, man. But hey, thank you, Lord.
Okay, amen.
That's all I can say, man. Hey, network, have different conversations with different people. That's it. If you're into something, be real enough with yourself to say, hey, I really do like this. I'm passionate about this. Nobody else around me is. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna look up these events. I'm gonna, just do something different. Even if you just start off on the internet and start maybe joining different chats, getting on Twitter, stuff like that, Clubhouse. You can look up different things that you're passionate about and start having conversations there. If maybe you're, introverted like myself, I'm an introvert, but I'm gonna get out there because I got things I'm trying to accomplish, like straight up.
Yeah.
Man, what else I got to shout out, man? Oh, shout out, hey, big announcement 2023 Free Game Society coming, man. That's all it's gonna be. I'm gonna put it out there right now. It's basically gonna be a social collective of leaders across the country in different sectors that are willing to just give their knowledge out to the youth, man. We're going to try to shift things from the inside out. So I'm going to be calling all the leaders. We're doing a full campaign in 2023, man. Everybody can sign up. That's all I'm going to say. So shout out to that Free Game Society, Team 100, all that. And that's it. Anybody else, man? Y'all got anything else before we get into it, man?
I just got one thing, and then I'll let you go do your thing. Anybody that's out there spending money on designer and wasting your money like that, invest into a black-owned business. If you know somebody got a clothing brand that's trademarked, I'm not knocking anybody that don't have their stuff legitimized, but you want to get legitimized so you can probably see your residuals come back and it be a long-term situation. So as y'all can tell, I got the Love for Crew on right now. Merchandise on www.lovelv4crew.com. Tap in with the merchandise. We're taking over the streets. We're taking over the music industry, the sports league. Like, it's just a big takeover. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very proud to be a clothing ambassador for them. So I just tap in, man. Y'all gonna see us on TV. Shout out to Stewie Rock, Hot 107.9. Just did an interview. Love for Crew J did. And yeah, it's definitely up.
Hey, with that, man, let me also jump in here real quick with the clothing, man. I recently, man, entered into a relationship with a clothing brand. So I'm doing some things for them. So Status Plus Productions.
Come on now.
Anybody check Status Plus?
Hey, time out real quick. That sweatshirt and that hat, I'm in there. If y'all can send me some,
say less. Say less. You got it, KT. You got it. Say less, man.
I got you. Just drop them sizes. I got you.
The Status Plus though, what's up with that though?
Clothing line, man. The truth of the matter is, it's my brother, man. He's had the line for quite a while. But we're looking to build momentum, man. We're looking to gain traction, man. We're looking to really get this product out in the hands of the people, man, and on the backs of the people, on the heads of the people, on the feet of the people. Hey, Status Plus Productions, man. It's what it is, man. What it's gonna be.
I'm a clothing ambassador, man. I'm a free agent, man. Anybody want me to wear their gear up here in life? I don't care. I'm gonna rock it. I do, man. I'm gonna shout out my man's clothing line, bgoldie.com, man. That's his website. My man Tiggy Rum. I'm gonna shout him out while we on the clothing tip. And I definitely gotta say, support black-owned business.
Support them.
And though this isn't isolated to Georgia, we know everybody. We got people in Canada, in Germany. I was looking at the analytics today. We got people in India that are watching this. But man, support black-owned businesses right now in your state, especially if you're in Georgia, but everywhere. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, let that dollar circulate through our communities, man.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be an interesting period, but I ain't gonna get into politics and all that today, man. Nah, not today. But I'm gonna get into this first clip. Hopefully, I can pull it up without any technical difficulties. Let me see, make sure. Oh, you know what? No, I'm not. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up like this, y'all.
This is real when it's live.
Oh, you already know. Well, that's how live streams are. I didn't
Yeah.
understand it at first because I started watching other people's streams and I was like, oh yeah, this is really how it is. They be on their phones, whatever. This clip I'm bringing up though, specifically.
Man, if we could have took a picture of UKT blowing them twin streams out, that joint would look bananas.
Hey, he needs to get sponsored by a vape company, man.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
tried to vape. I tried to vape
ambassador
one time.
for Red Bull.
Hey, I tried to one time and almost killed myself. I almost died trying.
You just gotta maintain it. That's all. Pick your level.
Man, I was like, oh no. Here we go.
Million.
Guys, technical difficulties. Bear with me, but here we go. I'm learning though.
Find a low-cost health plan at healthcare.gov so they can enjoy more visits and have less to worry about. Feel like a million and find your plan during open enrollment. Like you.
Virginia's only privately run prison has been under lockdown for more than 1 month.
It comes after several overdoses were reported this summer. Capitol Bureau reporter Jackie DeFusco spoke to lawmakers and loved ones about the conditions there. Jackie, what did you learn?
Hey guys, well, several people told me today that the environment at Lawrenceville Correctional is growing more hostile and tense. It's the latest headline adding fuel to the push to end Virginia's only private prison contract. Today, a notification says Lawrenceville Correctional is on lockdown until further notice. Since the end of August, Tara Stevens says she hasn't been able to visit her family member in person or on video. Plus, no religious services or outdoor time behind bars.
The incarcerated, they aren't cattle, they're people. And the point of prison is to reform behavior. And how could you reform behavior in those type of conditions?
She says the lockdown started in response to a string of overdoses and at least one death over the summer, all still under state investigation. Quadair Patterson, who's currently incarcerated there, wants answers on what's being done. His fiance sent us this phone call recording.
We do want more security to help save those lives, but no one is informing us of the steps that they're actually taking.
Lawmakers are in the dark too. Delegate Irene Shin says she toured Lawrenceville during the lockdown.
These conditions are not acceptable. I've been given 0 deadlines or actual dates for when they'll complete these searches.
Complaints, renewing calls for change. A bill to end for-profit prison management in Virginia died last year in the General Assembly, but at least one lawmaker says Governor Glenn Youngkin's administration could take action on their own to put management of Lawrenceville under state control. A Department of Corrections spokesperson responding, quote, "The department does not engage in speculation."
Whoever's privately running this prison has no sense of humanity.
Now, the GEO group, which runs Lawrenceville, did not respond to my questions about when this lockdown will be lifted, but in a statement, a spokesperson listed a number of steps the facility is taking to combat an increasing flow of illegal drugs, including investing in new technology, more staff, and enhanced security measures. Live in the studio, I'm Jackie DeFusco.
All right. That's the first clip.
A bustling downtown.
That's the first clip. Every technical difficulty, I just want to say this, ever known to man has transpired today, but guess what? We still trucking.
It's a great day.
That's it. Anyway, we live. The first story though, I pulled up about Lawrenceville Correctional Center because I'm always trying to stay in the pulse of the conversation that I'm either having or that's affecting people that I know. That's just first and foremost. People do bring things to me, and in this case, this both affected me because I got a loved one up there. Hadn't heard from him I haven't heard from my brother in like about a month. And then, people's family members started calling me as well, trying to know, find out if I knew anything. So we're talking about Lawrenceville, but we're talking about really the prison system as a whole right now, and corruption. And in short, one of the things that kicked off them going on lockdown was a CO fell through the roof trying to retrieve something. I've been to prison. Freddie's been to prison. It's no secret. Prison is corrupt. People are people. Not everybody. You know what I'm saying? But when money's involved, things happen. But in this case, you got a string of overdoses, right? They can't get a handle on it. Freddie, like I know, they lock institutions down. They search because there's been an overdose. Everything comes up 2 weeks later, normal. We're back in operation, and then there's an overdose too. There was a guy on St. Bride's that overdosed 2 or 3 times before he finally he lost his life, before he returned to the S. I can't remember his name, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but anybody that was on St. Bride's Correctional Center might remember this situation. But what are your thoughts on the prison system, the drug problem? Just do you think they get a handle on it? We heard them talking about ending, that certain laws that are out on the floors that we know that, I know in my case, we've heard certain laws be talked about for years. We're seeing some changes now. But what are your thoughts on everything, man? Prison system, judicial system, etc. right now?
I first want to correct something that the sister said. She said that the prisons were there for rehabilitation, and they're not. Prisons are built for profit and for punitive action to be taken against individuals who've been deemed as criminals. There are very few prisons that actually engage in the actions and the activities that can provide rehabilitation for an individual. More likely than not, you're going to find a shortage of resources, a shortage of caring, a shortage of any level of real involvement that can move you to the next level. So that's not what prison's here for. As far as this goes, this is just another brick in the wall. Not long ago, it was Indian Creek, which, for anyone who does not know, is a therapeutic program that is specifically and particularly designed to help individuals with substance abuse and other issues. And this was right before the pandemic, a string of overdoses. And this is a state-ran institution. DOC oversees this. It's under the auspices of Mr. Harold Clark and the rest of his contingent. But there were still overdoses there. There were overdoses in St. Bride's, overdoses in Keene Mountain. There's overdoses everywhere. So they're making it a Lawrenceville issue, but it's not a Lawrenceville issue. It's a system issue. It's a systemic issue. And the root of it is corruption. You've got COs, and I also want to say this very clearly. A good percentage of the drugs that come into an institution come in through correctional officers. They're not all coming through the visit room. They're not all coming through people who are on outside details. They're coming through correctional officers. So when you've got a guy who's making 30 grand, 35 grand, and you've got son who everybody knows is the Big Willie, and he goes to him and says, I'll give you $1,000 a week to get this in here. The guy's struggling on his bills, trying to pay his car note, got a kid on the way, not a bad guy, but he needs the money. And the next thing you know, you've got your security compromised. So I think initially for me, all I want to say is this is not just a Lawrenceville issue. This is a statewide issue. Matter of fact, it's a nationwide issue. And when you make mass incarceration your protocol, This is what you get. And I don't see it changing. They can pass all the legislation they want. You can't legislate morality. And when people make a decision that they're going to go contrary to what their training, to what their policies, to what their procedures are, not a whole lot you can do except catch them and fire them and prosecute them. And I'll chill on that for now.
I gotta piggyback off Brother Freddie. Like everything he says is 100% fact, you know. And with me, I can only speak from the outside looking in because, you know, I've been blessed to not have to be in that situation. But I know people that was very close to me and still are close to me that are in those situations. And, you know, like you just said, it's not like it's the outsiders. It's being brought in through the workers that's supposed to be there to protect and, you know, all these other things. But that's not what's going on. You know, that, like you said, they could pass 100 laws today. That's not going to change anything, especially when you're dealing with a state institute, because 9 times out of 10, a state prison is a business off the muscle. It's owned by someone. So if Brother Freddie decides to say, hey, I'm going to take $100 million to go buy this prison, with the right money, he can do that. If he decides tomorrow he didn't get laid, so everybody on lockdown, no visitations, there's nothing anyone can do unless you have family that's constantly checking in and constantly coming to visitation and things of that nature to come back and say, hey, they're not being treated properly. You know, it's unfortunate that instead of the system being a system to rehabilitate, it's the complete opposite. And like you said, when you got somebody in there that they have the funds to say what's to do and what's not going to do, and like you said, you have these workers that's getting paid bare minimum, and they start weighing their options and their priorities, they're going to go wrong instead of staying right, because you're in an environment where everything is done wrong to be validated or to be done right. So, you know, you have so many of these unfortunate situations. And, you know, we'll take it back when COVID hit. And in Georgia, we had like, what, 3 prisons that went haywire. They didn't have no power, didn't have no food. I mean, you could see it on the social media sites where these guys are begging for help. This ain't them, you know, paraded saying they this, that, and the third, we run this. No, they're begging for help because it's so chaotic. And, you know, you have people bleeding out, you know, asking for help, asking the media. After that whole week or two of saying that on social media, it went on hush mode and you ain't heard nothing else. That doesn't mean the problem was solved. They just found a way to take the media attention off of them and put it somewhere else, but that problem is still going on to this day.
I want to say one of the craziest feelings that I ever felt. I hated the feeling, and it motivates me to keep moving the opposite direction of those prison walls. Is I was constantly, and I say this in the most respectful way and humble way, but I felt like I was constantly under the care and guidance of somebody that was not smarter than me, somebody who wasn't they weren't invested in my peace, in my life. And that's just an ill feeling. And then when you look, and because I've been on certain spread, now don't get me wrong, you know, there was times where I was doing wrong, there was times where I was doing right. But for the times where I was doing right, I remember this one time I was on a certain institution and I couldn't get help on the simplest things because I wasn't in the mix. And man, it was just getting out of that environment and being able to look back at it now. I'm seeing that poverty is poverty's increased, inflation is getting higher, crime is increasing out here. So it's only obvious that the prison reflects streets, or the streets reflects. I don't know how it goes, right? But if things are increasing in here, things are increasing in there. That's why you're seeing the urgency, because the ODs are increasing. People are losing their lives at a higher level in certain states in these prisons. Suicide is the number one reason and cause of death right now in institutions, especially amongst Black males. They just came out with a study, side note, that said mental health is that basically it's environmental. Depression and all these things, that it's like the number one cause is environmental traumas. So yeah, go figure. Side note, do some homework on that. But this is Virginia. You spoke on Georgia. we just had another guy out here. I'm gonna speak on it with Victor Hill, he was the sheriff out here in
Clayton County.
Clay, you know, and I know a little bit about the case. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm an expert, but I know he was a sheriff who just got found guilty, getting ready to get sentenced because of his mishandling of prisoners under his care. I don't know if that necessarily means he was hands-on. You know, I don't know how that goes again. But what are your thoughts when it comes to these type of people? This is one case where, and again, I don't want to say I know everything, but we do know some type of abuse took place. But what are your thoughts?
You know, just from the people that I do know that unfortunately did have to go to Clayton County, even if it was just for a simple registration violation, you know, got to tow your car, got to take you in, simple stuff, nothing major, nothing high risk. From what my understanding is, the things that he has been found guilty of, he was hands-on. Like, he walked in there and would tell you not to look at him. You had to face the wall when he hit the floor, and you could not speak. The moment you spoke out of line, they treated you like less than the gum on the bottom of your shoe. Like, they would cause so much inflict of pain, you know, to whereas it would traumatize the person. That goes back to what you were saying earlier with the suicide. There was another case where a young lady was pregnant and she told them, hey, I'm pregnant. And they treated her as if she was a regular, excuse how I say this, but regular junkie on the street, and caused that woman to lose her child inside the jail system. And he's facing that case as well on top of this. So, you know, just on his situation alone, inside the jail system. We're not talking about outside and what was done to patrol Clayton County as a county. We're just talking about inside the jail system. He definitely misused his authority and definitely made people be in fear of him. Not even just the officers, you know, that's dealing with the inmates, but just him as a whole. So it's like when he did get found guilty, you found more people celebrating versus saying, hey, this is wrong. He really didn't do this. And it's very unfortunate because this is not a prison. This is a county jail. And like I said, if you in there, like I said, you done slipped up, forgot your ID at home, forgot to pay your registration, this the day after, you're supposed to be able to go in there, ride your weekend out, keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, and be able to see the judge Monday morning, possibly come home Monday night or Tuesday morning. But with dealing with that type of scrutiny, you have now been institutionalized in the first 24 hours. You scared. You don't want to call home, because if you call home and you say the wrong thing on the phone around the wrong CO and they're on his side and how he moved, now you're possibly facing abuse for doing the right thing. So it puts an innocent person in a situation to become savage, like if they can adapt to it. Or it puts them in an oppressed mind state if they never been in this and they don't know how to stand on their own.
Most definitely.
You made some fantastic points, and at the root, this whole bail system, because when we start talking about jails and people having to stay in jail, they're staying in because usually they can't make bail. And we know that the bail system inordinately impacts low-income individuals. So a person who's not making a lot of money and gets, a $2,000 bail, you're going to sit in prison or you're going to sit in jail because you can't make that. While a guy who's rich and whatever, that's nothing for him. There's been this evolution that's taken place in the United States. No one has to be a scholar to know that this nation was founded, was a slave state. Slavery was one of the root sources of income, of labor, of production in the United States. When slavery ended, it only ended to a degree. It actually transformed into something else. It went into black codes. Then that transformed into Jim Crow. What we're in now is the latest evolution of it, and it's mass incarceration. So the plantations are now the prisons. So it's not without any wonder that you have a guy like that, the individual you're talking about, who is walking around as if he's a plantation owner, as if he's a slave master. And
Let
his
me ask.
go ahead, bro.
Let me ask you something directly. Do you feel like they turning the fire up a little bit? Because yeah, mass incarceration was their biggest tool, but now we just seen Roe versus Wade get overturned. And I've been speaking about it the last couple of weeks. Affirmative action is in front of the Supreme Court. We're seeing certain things, whether you agree with them or not, probably have helped people, you know what I'm saying, of color, you know what I'm saying? And now, and never mind that, Roe versus Wade, this is what's crazy. And I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna be quiet. It just dawned on me, and I mean this in the most respectful way that I can say this, but basically a white man in a suit can make a decision, not that even I should be able to, but in certain situations can make a decision over me in regards to my wife. I was like, I didn't look at it from that perspective till this morning, and I was like, and I went down this, I started really dissecting. I was like, yo, they literally, and I'm gonna shut up so you can go back in, but they literally just said, you know what? You're not able to do this. And that's what it is. Even though it's your body. And if we catch you, in some cases, if we catch you coming back across state lines, we're locking you up because we know what you went over there to do. Then you got women, and I'm gonna go off on a tangent and we come back to where I was at. You got women that are risking their lives because they got to go to a certain state to get an abortion because they might have been raped or something, whatever it is, ectopic pregnancy, and they take half their meds there, and then they try to drive back to wherever they came from and take the rest of their meds. And hey, man, it's a crazy time. I don't know if they're turning the fire up or what, but it's looking crazy.
Nah, son, you're right on point, man. And the fire, we have to be very careful that we're seeing things as they are and not as they appear to be. Initially, it's all Roe versus Wade. That turning of affects everybody, maybe so, but it affects some people more than others. And who are those some people? Us. We tend, percentage-wise, we're getting more abortions. And so now you have another avenue to which you can lock somebody up. And I've always understood, and we have to understand, anything that's legislated, any freedom, any right, any liberty that we have that's legislated is always in danger of being taken away. Because all you need is the right segment, percentage, gathering of people, and they can say, we don't want that anymore. So we've got to be very aware politically.
Hey, it's a weird time, man. I knew the election. Well, not that I'm a site, but typically whoever's in the White House midterms, the opposite party wins. That's what I learned. I learned that since I've been home, starting to pay attention more. So I kind of felt, for the elections, I was out here. I said, "Oh yeah, that's true." So I kind of felt it was going to go the way it was, and it's just weird because you're seeing certain lawmakers change the face of this country right before our very eyes, and I don't really know if everybody, if everybody understood really what was going on. I feel like there would be more urgency, and I feel like there would be a more call to action. But then again, maybe not. Maybe there's more people that are, hey man.
But here's the crazy part though, right? Not to cut you off. So when you all was in grade school, they talked about the different branches of the government. They talked about, how the president is actually truly elected in office outside of the votes. When I was coming up in school, they taught that within the 90s. By the time that 2000, right after 9/11 hit, they slowly start bringing that out the school books. They slowly start making that part of the criteria to teach the kids. So whereas now Any child that's born from 2000, let me see, we're in 2022. So we're gonna say any child that's born after 2004 that's in school, they truly don't know. So when we stress go vote, go vote, the closest thing they have to understanding what voting really does goes back to the civil rights of marching when everybody came together for a cause. They don't really have a true understanding on how the government works. Everybody be ready to say, when the president is or Congress did this, but they don't know it starts at home. It starts in your local city official. It starts with your local mayor who just so happened 5 years from now get boosted in the Senate. 10 years from then, now he's up there in Congress. Another 5 from there, now he's running for president.
So what do you say? What do you say to the person who's arguing? Okay, so forgive me if my numbers are off, but somewhere around 1870-ish, I think, I'm pretty sure, they freed 4 million slaves, or they were already free around that time, and then they said all you guys can vote, right?
1861.
1861, right? Boom, here we go.
Proclamation.
Okay, boom, you can vote, and then what happened was, what I'm learning, which I didn't get this in school, but what I'm learning was there was this mass influx of first-time black politicians, and people were like, "Oh no!" And then they swiped, they took the rights away, boom, right? And then we've seen the same thing with slavery in regards to the judicial system, legal system, right? They created a legal system, a judicial system, a prison, all these things. A recapturing system, if you will, because what they did was they created a jury that's supposed to be responsible for judging you of your peers, and you couldn't be on it if you were black. So what do you say to the people that say, well, historically, when we started making moves or where we needed to be, they had control, whoever they is, the powers that be, political, whatever it is. What do you say to the people in regards to that? And then I got another great question after that about the school.
Well, I think there's a difference, and historically we'll talk. After slavery, quote unquote, was over, the federal government said, we are going to come into the South and ensure that these black people get what they're supposed to get and are able to do what they want to do. But behind the scenes, there's deals being worked out with the former politicians who now have lost their offices to black folk to engage in quid pro quo. We want our power back, and the government said, do a little something for us, we'll do something for you. And what they did was withdrew the troop support. Now, at that time, it was open season on blacks. You had whole cities. Wilmington, North Carolina was decimated by mob violence. So that was then. The difference now is that you're not seeing that type of violence. And we can take control of our local government. I want to say something real quick to any and everybody who is saying your vote don't count, we wasting our time, they already got it figured out, they know what they're going to do. Stop saying that to people, because you're deterring people from voting, and what it's doing is reducing our numbers. We need any and everybody to come out and vote, and at some point we need to try to have one common accord, one common theme, one common vision, one common goal, so we can operate as a voting block. And when blocks vote like that, they exercise power and influence. So that happened back then. What we're not going to do is bring that into modern day times, into contemporary times, and say, oh, that's what they're going to do anyway. No, we have numerous instances of brothers and sisters turning out to vote and shifting the political landscape in certain cities, certain towns, certain hamlets. And we've just got to be about the business.
For sure. And you know what? And I'm gonna say this too, even though Stacey Abrams lost out here, she's still gonna be a powerful figurehead in her party, and she's definitely gonna rock out. She's got super influence. which goes to show you don't have to aspire to hold political office. You can get people, or you can organize people and make sure they go vote. You can challenge voter suppression, which is real. We've seen it down here in Atlanta. People were calling the radio stations about it. You can give people information. There's a lot of information that you can direct them to a website that's going to give them all the information. I got it written down somewhere, but just inform, I think, is the biggest disconnect with people. We're not prepared to vote. We don't know enough about the issues that they represent. And respectfully, a lot of us are superficial voters. We're trained to go. We go with whatever. Not saying that's wrong or right, but we gotta start really doing homework. And I would also say this too: when you see leaders in your community, natural leaders that are good at rallying people, that it's easy for them, they're organized, whatever, they're at the church, they're at the grocery store, cultivate them, encourage them possibly, and get behind them to step into a position. And because we can push people in, or I'm gonna say motivate people into certain positions, the right people, but we got to do the work.
And then not only that, not to cut you off, but even when it comes to my generation and below, we have to learn how to take an hour out of our day. The same way we go on social media and look at nonsense, I use that terminology for it. We got to take an hour to do our homework. A lot of people, even to this day, does not know about the Black Wall Street. How we had our own government, we was politicking, we had our own airport, our own hospital. Everything that they said we could not do, we did it. And unfortunately, it was burned down. And people that, I don't want to try making a big race war, but we're going to keep it real. The whites sat there and watched it burn down like it was a movie eating popcorn. You see what I'm saying? So when people go back and say, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. No, we can do whatever we put our minds to. But like Brother Freddie said, we have to come together and stand on it. You don't have, like I said, you don't have to be a politician. You see your pastor out there, hey, did you know about this? Did you never know? They may be able to inform you about something that you didn't know. Pass that knowledge along. Don't just hold it in and be like, well, I know the truth, but I ain't going to say nothing. Then what good is that?
Speaking the truth and not saying nothing. And you brought up school, and I know that both you guys are fathers. Freddie, you grandfather. I don't know if you guys are uncles. I'm whatever it is. Like we're all in some capacity. We got children, youth up under, right? School systems. Big thing. I forgot the correct term. But anyways, they don't want to teach history because they argue about it. I'm listening to the recording and I can't think of the word. They're arguing about this on General Assembly floors, and the basis for not wanting to teach history, just history. I ain't gonna say our history, just history. What really happened is because they don't want Caucasian kids to be upset.
You talking about critical race theory?
There we go. That's why I got 3 of us up here instead of 1. Because race theory. What are your thoughts on, like, it's 2022? Everybody prides themselves on being trans. Social media show everything, but show and tell, blah blah. But here we go in our educational systems, and it's funny because we're always going to know the history. We're always going to teach our kids, our grandkids. We're always going to talk. We're supposed to walk around knowing that, but you're saying we're supposed to protect what? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure that out. What are we concerned about for real? I mean,
No,
go ahead. I know.
I feel like it's honestly, they want to protect the Caucasian kids because they know once everybody find out the truth on what ancestors of the Caucasian has done to the United States as a whole, and the lies that have been told but has been rewritten, re-narrated to fit the way that they wanted us to think, we would then turn around and basically reverse history. Instead of Caucasians slaving blacks, it'll be blacks not raised to slave Caucasians because now you know. Like, I give you a prime example, and I ain't gonna go too deep in it, but when they made the movie, the vampire movie with Abraham Lincoln, it sparked a fuse because people started going back doing their homework on Abraham Lincoln. Now, we ain't gotta be the smartest to know blacks, when we pass, our bodies will stay out a little longer than Caucasians, right? Abraham Lincoln did not find an actual resting grave until the 1900s. And every account and every record says that when they opened it up, that man was still looking as if he was just buried yesterday. Okay, they turned around and buried him in the Lincoln Memorial, but he's 12 feet under the ground. Then his wife, then his kids. What reason would you have to bury him that deep if you was trying to hide something? Now you
I
can say
mean,
if he was black or white, but in my opinion, I just feel like he had to have some type of blackness about him, but one for him to still look preserved, and they didn't even have the chemicals that we have today, and to be that deep, so that way when nobody be able to just dig real quick and figure out what's going on.
I mean, scientists, that medical fact is medical fact. Scientists know about melanin. You know what I'm saying? They know about the just the factors behind melanin. They know about Ethiopia. They know, you know what I'm saying? They know certain things. So we know that. I think for me, when I'm having conversations with people, everybody already knows, you know what I'm saying, what's going on when it comes to race. Race is this tense-filled topic right now that everybody wants to tiptoe around, but at the same time, it's increasing. There's hatred increasing through society. We're here where there's rumors that Trump's getting ready to make an announcement. He's going to run again. Hey, and as a business owner, I can sit here and say cool and laugh about it and chuckle and all that. But on the other end, I'm like, yo, some crazy stuff happened when he was in there. I don't think the goal is when we start learning the truth to enslave anybody or do anything that us. I think it's just saying, hey, just acknowledge what happened, man. Like we could possibly move on. Like we could be all right. Like let's come to. We can't really come to the table fully until discussions had. I think that's my take, man. What's your take, Fred?
There's a connection here historically, and we're going to go back to Civil War times, Reconstruction period. After those federal troops withdrew and the South began its move to recapture its glory, this group arose called the Daughters of the Confederacy. And what they basically did was rewrite history. This is when you started to see images of the happy slave. This is when you started no longer to hear about whippings and lynchings. They completely changed the narrative of what slavery was and what the South was. And we're seeing it today. For me, I think it's about a bit more, because I think this move is also geopolitical. It's very difficult to go to another country and tell them anything about human rights, civil rights, liberties, and freedoms when they look at you and say, hold on, aren't you the guys that enslaved the Africans? Aren't you the guys who treated them like, forget treated, or treating them like dirt? So I think that the move is to whitewash history so that they look better. There'll come a point, if we're not careful, that people won't know what happened back then, because we're also drinking the juice. Now you got black folk talking about banning certain books just because the N-word gets used or because it talks about slavery or the language. How else are we going to know the tone and the tenor of these times and be able to communicate it and translate it to our children if there's nothing recorded about it?
Yo, you can't talk about nothing.
Let me just add this one part to add on what Brother Freddie was saying. Not only that, even when COVID hit, it took out the old. Don't get me wrong, it went all around, but it took out the old, which is the last of a dying breed, to teach us our history. Then they start taking out the babies coming up. So that way, like you said, every generation to come after that is only going to know what is being projected now. And if you think it's a joke, look at JFK assassination. They told us for over 50 years it was only one person. But if Brother Freddie hit me in the back of the head right now, my head going forward. He hit me in the back of the head again, my head still going forward. It's not going back and forth. But they told us that lie for over 50 years, and they put the video in our face, and we believed it because everybody said it must be one. Come on now.
Hey, Charlemagne the God said this morning, he said he used a different word. I use a different word. He said, what do we hate more? Reading or accountability? What do we hate? Do we hate reading? And that's you know what I'm saying, that's a rhetorical question, but reading or accountability, because they've showed us time and time again what's going on. They keep blowing the nose off the Sphinx. They keep doing that. They're gonna keep doing that. But it's so weird because here we are in the age of social media where we can literally influence the vote and do things in ways never before thought of. And instead we choose to use it to, you know, run views up for catching footage of some tragedy that just occurred to a rapper, you know, or something like that. So it's just weird, man. And when we speak of coverage, I want to touch on this. I think we touched on it a little bit last week. Technical difficulty Thursday, but it's all good. You're going to push through regardless. I had the video clip, but I still want to touch on it, though I can't pull it up right now. The shooting that occurred in Chicago, 14 people. I wanted to pull it up more because as I'm talking about that, anybody that sees this, I know somebody has not heard of this story, right? And what's crazy is this story probably happened in 5 other cities since then, and we haven't heard about it either. If we did, we heard about it for 2 days or whatever. Thoughts on not necessarily violence in Chicago, but maybe 14 people, you know, lives being changed forever. Some in greater ways than others, but or maybe we should look at it as a reminder of when it comes to coverage in media. I don't know which way you guys want to approach it, but I see it how you can look at it 2 different ways. Because this story, I feel like, should have been blown up.
I think it's pretty much what I think it's pretty much what you just said, coverage and media. I mean, it's not, and it's sad because when I looked into it and heard about it, it was young lives taken, you know, little toddlers, you know, outside the adults that lost their lives, unfortunately. And you know, it goes back to the jail system. You know, they can pass as many laws as they want, but unless they make a real reform to take the guns away, it's gonna always be that. You know, you have more switches and you know all these other type of customized weapons that can cause more bodily harm than the average old school rifle or the regular pistol. But you know, when you have a society and generation that has no respect, no morals, don't care about history, going off impulse, no true guidance. It's called the crash out ages, if you ask me. And I'm not justifying it because it's nothing to be justified behind that, but due to what's been going on and how the media projects it and, you know, put what they want, that's the unfortunate side of it. And these rappers ain't gonna do nothing but just keep glorifying it. So guess what that means? There's more money for the coroner to make because you got more bodies that's coming in. More money for the ER and doctors because we constantly got people we got to fix up, whether they DOA or whether they make it. More money for the judicial system because that's another black man or another person locked up. So now we get more money. It's going to keep going. They don't want peace. If you have peace, there's no money to truly be made on that side of it.
Hey, I think I want to approach the media coverage aspect. We're in a nation that, for the most part, disparages and disregards original people. And as a result, media coverage of incidents that are involving and relating to original people do not get the type of coverage that other races do. It's a known fact, or it should be, that the majority of missing persons are usually black women. But you would fight hard to get a news segment on a missing black woman.
Right.
I don't want to knock the young lady who came up missing. That was a few months ago, and they got the boyfriend, but that stayed on the news for 2 months. While, and I'm just going to talk about in that time frame,
It's real though.
numerous sisters came up missing, bodies were found, all of this, and you didn't hear anything. So for me, it's just indicative of a system that could care less about us and our lives. An albino tiger has more value than a young black man. You kill an albino tiger or catch a porpoise, brother, there's going to be outcry internationally.
You're
but
going away.
Guys on the streets of Chicago, what do they say? They're animals. We don't need to cover that.
It's normal.
It's normal. There's nothing newsworthy about that. They're doing that every day. So I think this comes back to empowerment, collective empowerment. We need to start getting our own venues, our own avenues, our own conduits to start handling our own business. We can't trust them to do it.
For us, by us. You know what I'm learning, right? I'm learning. It's crazy. So I'm big on black-owned business. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? I'm grateful to be in that arena, but I'm having conversations with other people. And it's funny because what I'm learning is business is war, right? And when you have a business, you're the general, and you got to make sure you can advance your brand or your troops. And it's crazy because I'm gonna get into it one of the maybe next up, but I've got this whole racial demographic. I'm gonna say demographic of people, right, that are basically teaming up to try to box out another race of people from this sector that's ours. The beauty industry has been what it always has been, man. We always had the flavor, the soul, the drip, all that. You know what I'm saying? We've been the trendsetters, and it's crazy. That's one of those weird situations that you learn, man. When it comes to business, when it comes to life, when it comes to what's going on with the issues that affect us, when it comes to just being in certain lanes where you're saying, you know what, I'm worried, I'm concerned about black people. You start to learn that you're on an island. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning that in business, which is cool, but it's weird because even those, I liken it to like this. It's us and a few other business owners, and it's like we're hanging on to this raft, right? And we're in the ocean. And it's cool. We're getting to where we need to go. We're not really tripping, you know, but we look up and there's a yacht just driving. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe we're not on a raft. Maybe we're on a rowboat, right? But that's what it feels like. We're still getting there, but everybody doesn't make the journey because it is lonely. We're in a different place. You talked about black people, you know, a black man losing his life on the streets. Traumatizing. If you're not black, you wouldn't know. If you just wouldn't know. I could. There's not enough words, and I say that respectfully. You know what I'm saying? It might be a good thing you don't know, but you don't know the fears or the concerns or the worries or the anxieties that we have when we're doing nothing at all, and a police car drives behind us, not even paying attention to it. It might be in the lane over, but it's just that because we've been indoctrinated and trained by media and what they want us to see certain things. But then, like Fred said, in Atlanta, human trafficking is horrible. Oh my God. They don't even, man, they rescued like a few months ago, they rescued like 27 people. They don't talk about this stuff. If you're in Atlanta, you know. A lot of people come to Atlanta and man, you know what I'm saying? They don't talk, but like you said, they don't talk about these things, man. We have to create not just politicians, not just businesses. We've got to create our own media. Our own media platforms. We've got to start shifting that way, man. And not saying, hey, everybody can come rock over there with us. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna give it with our flavor. We're gonna give you the truth. You know what I'm saying? So that's my piece, man. If you
I'm gonna just add this to end off what you were just saying right there. and this is for the ladies. Not it's for the ladies, but it's for us brothers. We got to learn to protect our queens a lot more. Being here in Atlanta, we ain't gonna get too deep on it. But unfortunately, even with the human trafficking, it's our color that's doing the wrong to our color. And we have to learn to protect one another. If you in the club and you see a guy being over aggressive with a woman, I'm not telling you to risk your life. But what I'm saying is step up. Hey man, she cool. She good. Or if you see she don't really know how to protect herself, do what you would do if you was trying to flirt. Hey man, this my old lady right here. We good, man. Appreciate that though. And then you whisper in her ear, come on, I'm gonna walk you out the door. Let me walk you to your car. Step up. We gotta protect. If we don't protect our own, who will? Especially when unfortunately it be our kind that's doing most of this heinous stuff that's going on. Like there's videos they don't put on the news where you see the guy literally pull up beside the girl in an all-white van. He hop out and grab her and throw her in the back of the van. And it's people just sitting there watching like this is World Star. No, step up, chase that car down, get the license plate. This ain't got nothing to do with snitching.
This is what they
You know
do.
what I'm saying? This is what they do. Just sit there and watch. And then when the unfortunate woman hit the news, this person missing, now you feel bad, like, oh my God, that was what so you should have stepped up. The same way with child abduction and things like that. Protect our own. Like we go back to Brother Freddie said, we gotta govern ourselves, man. We gotta do better as a people so we can march, not just march, but stand together on all 10. So when the oppression do come at us, we ready for it. We can't sit here and say we ready, but yet we still out here doing this or we justifying this. No, stand up.
And I want to say this too. When we talk, you word the word oppressor. I want to be clear. It's not limited. We're not singling out a specific group of people. We're talking about a mind state that isn't limited to a specific group of people. When the riots kicked off in 2020, I was out there with the wife. I was there several days, man, about a week and a half straight. When it finally died down, I brought my nieces there because I wanted them to be there in that atmosphere. But what I seen and why I wanted them to be there was we seen unity. We seen people from all colors, creeds, races, beliefs. I kid you, it was the craziest thing, man. There was witches out there, real witch. I don't know how this thing works. And they doing spells on cops. I'm dead serious. Hey, to each his own. I just know I'm with Jesus. I'm going over here. Whatever's going on. But at the same time, though, what up? You know what I'm saying? What's up with y'all? Y'all out here, fighting a good fight. At one time, it got really hairy, and the National Guard I don't want to use the word advancing on us, but it was getting hairy. And the whole LGBTQ community from Georgia State, one of them colleges came through, and they put themselves between us and the Army National Guard. And wouldn't you know it, National Guard chilled on back. You know what I'm saying? So I just say all that to say, know that we're talking about a mind state. It's 2022. Like we know what's going on because bruh just said it. A lot of times we're doing wrong to our own people. The people that are doing wrong, it'd be the people that look like us doing it to each other, man. So yeah, accountability. I'm talking about the mind state. I know my brother's talking about the mind state. We talking about a little bit of everything, but any final thoughts, man, Freddie?
Hey, I want to jump on that oppressor thing real quick. There's this verse in the Bible. It's in Proverbs, and it says, "Envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." And I think that what has happened over the course of millenniums is that we have been so oppressed, we have been so downtrodden and disenfranchised that we have looked at the oppressor as the personification of manhood. And anytime we get an opportunity, unknowingly what we're doing is manifesting the same oppressive ways that were used on us. I think that we felt so downtrodden for so long that we're looking for any opportunity to get a leg up on anybody just to make us feel better about ourselves. And that's the thing that we really have to be cautious, conscious, and aware of, because like the brother said, and like it's so evident, we're doing this to us. These people have tricked us so badly that we're the instruments of our own oppression now. They can actually kind of fall back, and this thing is like on cruise control or autopilot, and we're enacting everything that they would have wanted to do but don't need to do because we're doing it. Killing off our women, killing off our children, poor education. I mean, we could go on and on and on, man. But yeah, we've just gotta wake up and get with what's really going on, man. Because again, I think I said this last week, and we've all said it in our own ways. Every gun is pointed at us, even ours.
Which
is crazy.
Hey,
we're at war. We're at war, and we're getting hit with friendly fire.
And no pun intended, but that's what it is. And this is a totally unrelated. You got people, man, good people that are getting caught in crossfires too. Whether it's the crossfires like we seen with the tragedy of Takeoff, the 8-year-old little girl walking to school. Whatever it is,
the 14 people that got shot. I'm sure they were.
Chicago. The 3-year-old, that was amongst them. Man, I don't know,
That's
man.
A seed, That's a seed, 3-year-old seed.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and we're gonna get into that because we gotta get back up here next Thursday, minus the technical difficulties, video clips coming back. Y'all know what it is.
That made it real low.
That made it real. We're gonna get the intro back, right? I don't know what it was, but it's all love, man. I'm still blessed. We still blessed, man. But I want to get more into, maybe that's what it. I want to get into. I don't want to be that guy, man. But do Black Lives Matter? I don't want to be that guy. I don't know. I don't want to phrase it like that. But how much do we care? Maybe I'll phrase it like that. I just want to know because, people got to start having real conversations, man. Like, what do you really care about? You know why? And KT, I'm gonna tell you this real talk, man. I could have got tickets. I think they were free. I don't know what they were. I could have got tickets to go to the Takeoff funeral, right?
Yeah, same here. I chose not to.
Yeah, I chose not to, man. I'm not saying there wouldn't have been a lot of people in there that cared. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure, but I know that there was a lot. There would be, and for who am I to judge? But I just felt like there would be a lot of people that didn't and were there for the wrong reason. But I'm glad they did the no cameras. But yeah, I just maybe what do people really care about, man? I wonder. Also, if we keep this thing going, man, I'm gonna start opening this up to where people can jump up here, and ask questions, become part of the panel during the panel as I continue my quest to learn this new workstation and stuff, man. So yeah, that's some other good stuff on the way, man. KT, final thoughts, man.
Pretty much everything we said, man. I hope everybody that was watching it tuned in and is watching again. Y'all really learned something today. Really take the time to really educate yourself. Do your history on your, where you from, and just history as a whole. Because, like you said, like Brother Freddie said, soon it will no longer exist. It's gonna be wiped away and rewritten to the point that you can't even go back and redefine who you are or where you come from. Just recently on the news, 3 of the guys that were accused of assassinating Malcolm X, 2 of them just got exonerated, proving that they were nowhere near the situation when it happened, which shows one of the biggest misconceptions, biggest way to turn us against one another, with their power backing it up. When, in one of the victims' cases, he had his whole community coming to trial speaking for him, and they still deemed him forward, and only one lived to see his freedom. The other one, unfortunately, died in prison. And granted, they granted him, I think it was like $60-some million, but it's not enough money in the world that can replace your freedom, your time from your family, the time from your children, the time from your grandchildren. And then you're in an environment where those that aren't knowledgeable, especially back then, there wasn't no social media, you don't really know if this guy really did it or not. So depending on how you feel, you might have hatred in your heart because of what everyone has said he's did, without knowing the truth that this man is innocent. So I just say all that to say, it's time to step up. It's time to make a difference. If you're a music artist out there that's listening in and watching, it's time to change your music. If you was going on a rant and rapping about, violent things, it's time to switch it up, because one day you're going to have a child, if you don't already have one, and they're going to be reciting those lyrics. And when you become a parent, that's not a good feeling when your child is reciting a lyric that's expressing violence and things that you don't want to look back on because you're trying to make a change. So don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till you lose a loved one. Don't wait till that trouble is knocking at your front door. Go ahead and make that change right now. You do it now, we're going to save the generations to come. And that's what I stand on, the kids, the generation to come, and protecting our elders that still stand, because they are the last of a dying breed, and we have to be there for them. Protect the queens out there, man. It's KT.
Peace. Most definitely. Big Fred, man, from Idaho.
I'm not even gonna tell people how we first met, man. What I really came to find out, he was from Nebraska. Had the little talk, had the little, lingo accent, but he's from Nebraska. And it offended me a little bit, but anyway, because he actually fooled me with that Chicago business.
Hey,
big up to the Windy City. Brother, I think we may be one of the only people on earth where death is glorified. Where killing is magnified. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said something that I'm going to try to tie in here. And he said, don't go around looking for leaders, become one yourself. And I would say to cats, stop being followers. And we know every good leader is a follower. We get all of that. But stop blindly, obediently following cats, whether you're doing it looking at them in the distance or doing it listening to them up close. That's going against your morals and your values. I know with confidence that everyone who does something doesn't want to do it. We fold to peer pressure. We fold to having status. We fold to a number of things, but we never are comfortable with it. Live your life, man. If you want to be a leader, man, don't allow people to set you up to bring your own people down. Black Lives Matter. I'll go with you. Do they? Do we? Or do they only matter when white people are killing us? Or when the police are killing us? Or do they matter when brother is killing brother, killing sister, killing child, and we just stand on the sidelines with our phones up? Or don't do anything. Don't say anything. Don't admonish anybody. There's a number of situations that could have been prevented if somebody would have just said something. So let's be real leaders, man. Leaders that can take our generation, our nation, and I'm talking about not just the United States, I'm talking about the Black original nation, because we are a nation within a nation, to the next level, man. Because at this point, we're going backwards. We had a higher literacy rate in the 50s than we do now.
Yeah, man.
In the 50s with Jim Crow, no civil rights, we were more literate then than we are now. We're at the bottom of every academic indicator that there is. And so we really need to turn this around on multiple levels. But I think the first level is having love for ourselves, and then we can have love for the next person. Because if you can just kill a man, a woman, or a child indiscriminately, it could very well be said, brother, you don't really love yourself. Because when I love me, that love now gets radiated and emanated to anybody in my vicinity and even people who aren't in my proximity. So that's it. That's it.
Yeah, Hey, shout out to the both of y'all, man. Love does radiate. It's weird. I'm no longer the angry guy in this season. Trying to keep the streak alive, man.
Keep the streak alive, please. Keep it alive.
Yeah, it's weird. Please, several people have said, please keep it alive. Man, because I was a different guy, and
Hey.
I know that love radiates, man. Huh?
Speaking of love, man, big up my wife, man. Word up.
Big salute,
big
man.
up my wife, man. Yo, kid is in
Hey.
love, son. Kid is in
That's what
love.
I'm talking about. Hey, shout out to y'all too for being great husbands. You know, I ain't made it there, but shout out my lady. She at work right now watching us on live. Shout out to you, babe. Keep tapping in.
Man, great husband. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I showed up late to the party, man. Shout out to my wife. Well, since we shouting out wife, shout out to my wife. Man, yeah.
Definitely shout out to Mrs. Willers.
Yeah, because if anybody knows me, I'm a good dude, great guy.
Great guy.
If you gotta go to war, you need somebody to put. Not in that way, but if you need somebody there, I'm that. But man, I'm complex.
It used to be that way, though. It used to be that way.
It used to be that way. We could talk about that, but yeah, I've changed. God is good. Yeah, shout out to my wife, man, who has helped soften my heart. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep, as long as y'all good with it, we're gonna get back up here next Thursday, 6 p.m. Technical difficulty.
One love, KT.
Yeah, KT, brother Freddie.
Yes, sir.
Hey, God bless the connector, man. The connector, I keep telling people, man, become the connector. If you're not the connector, see one thing, if you're not the connector, get with a connector. When the thing is, you don't have to be the shooting guard. You could be the point guard, you could be the coach, you got one goal though in this life is find people that can either do things that you can't or do them better than you can. So you can focus on what you're good at and watch what gets done. That's all I'm gonna say, man. 2023 gonna be crazy, bro. Remember I tell you that. This guy down here, hey, come to Atlanta, Freddie. You already down here partially, man.
Yeah. I'll be there in January.
I'm gonna have to come check you out.
Yeah, be there in January. New York in the building.
Yeah, man. I just want to say again, man, thank y'all. So appreciative each and everybody. Anybody that jumps up here on the lives, anybody that helps support the content, push the conversation. It is real. It is live. It's transparent. It's true. We're not, we're not the experts. We just speak from our experience. We speak from our journey. We speak from the experiences of our loved ones, etc. We just try to really be sincere and at all costs keep it 100. My final thought for the day as I close it out: love your people, man. No bull. Excuse my language. No bullshit. If you got some type of beef with somebody, if it's petty, serious, whatever it is, man. If it's somebody you love, don't love, whatever it is, and you know that there doesn't have to be tension, but you could just call or just squash it, man. Like for real, like we're going into the holidays. Life is hard, man, and it's short. If you're somebody that has struggled in your relationships and you feel like you got into the rut where you feel like you can't do better, just know you can make the change and turn it around, man, and you can start living a dope life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm transparent and true. Yo, it took me 39 years to figure out I could have peace, and I'm still learning. It's still day by day. But y'all can have that too, man. Make the decisions, be brave enough, because life is short. I don't want to keep saying that, but we're reminded too often. We touched on it a bunch of times today. We see it in the news. We got a big funeral in Atlanta tomorrow where they're basically the city will be shut down. So yeah, man, life is short. Love those that surround you. Show love, radiate love. And that's it, man. Don't do like the haters do. I think I'm gonna end it right there. Yeah. Don't do like the haters do. Show love. Don't do like the haters do. That's it, man. Till next week, 6 p.m. We'll be back up here, man. Hey, appreciate y'all. Till next time. Peace.
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 Hello? Is anybody out there? Can you hear me? Welcome to V100 TV. Real conversations with real people.
All of this has been an evolution. Like, nothing about this journey is how I thought it was going to be. You know, shout out to the Free Game Society.